Hello, myself Santosh Raikar, Assistant Professor in Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Angadi Institute of Technology and Management, Belagavi. First, I would like to welcome you all for this AITM family on behalf of the AITM group. In this semester, you are going to study number of subjects. There is a subject named Basic Electrical Engineering, which belongs to Electrical and Electronics Engineering department. For this semester, I am going to handle Basic Electrical Engineering subject. The subject code for Basic Electrical Engineering is that if this subject is for first semester, the subject code is 18 ELE13. If this subject is for second semester, the subject code is 18 ELE23. As per the university norms, it is a 40-60 pattern, that is 40 marks for continuous internal evaluation, 60 marks for semester end examination. Let us discuss the syllabus of Basic Electrical Engineering. What are the contents it consists of? It consists of 5 modules. Each module consists of number of submodules, or you can say that units. Let us consider the first module. It consists of 2 parts. First part is DC circuits, second part is AC fundamentals. In first part of the first module, you are going to study Ohm's law, Kirchhoff's laws, some analysis on series parallel and series parallel circuits which are excited by the independent voltage sources, power and energy. So these are the contents of the first part of the first module, that is DC circuits. And second part of the first module is that AC fundamentals. In that you are going to study how the voltage will be generated, that too what AC voltage, that is generation of sinusoidal voltage. Frequency of that generated voltage you are going to study, and some definitions related to what average value, that is root mean square value, form factor, peak factor of sinusoidally varying voltage and current you are going to study. And the phasor representation of alternating quantities are also you are going to study in this part. So first module, it consists of 2 parts, that is DC circuits and AC fundamentals. Similarly, second module is also consist of 2 parts. First part is single phase circuits, second part is 3 phase circuits. In single phase circuits, analysis with phasor diagram you are going to study, that circuit analysis with phasor diagram you are going to study. So there are number of circuits you are going to study here. So those are R, that is pure resistive circuit, L, pure inductive circuit, C, that is pure capacitive circuit, and combination of these 3, that is RL, RC, RLC for series and parallel configurations. So analysis of these circuits you are going to study, and some real power, reactive power, apparent power, and the power factor you are going to study in this particular part, that is single phase circuits. And second part of the second module is three phase circuits. In this part you are going to study advantages of three phase power, then generation of three phase power you are going to study, three phase balanced circuits, voltage and current relations in star and delta connections, and measurement of three phase power using a 2 wattmeter method you are going to study. And also, so this is about second module. In third module, so it consists of again there are two parts. First part is single phase transformers, second part is some wiring, that is domestic wiring you are going to study. In first part it consists of necessity of transformer, principle of operation, types and construction of transformers, EMF equation, losses, variation of losses with respect to load, efficiency and condition for maximum efficiency of transformer you are going to study. And second part of third module, that is domestic wiring, it consists of service mains, meter board and distribution board, how the wiring can be done with respect to meter board and distribution board you are going to study. Brief discussion on concealed conduit wiring, two-way, three-way control switches you are going to study. Then elementary discussion on circuit protective devices. So those are fuse, MCB you are going to study. Then electric shock, then precautions against these shocks, and some earthing methods you are going to study, that is pipe earthing as well as plate earthing you are going to study. So these are the contents of third module. Fourth module, again there are two parts. First part is DC generators, second part is DC motors. In first part, that is DC generator, it consists of a number of sub bits. Those are principle of operation, construction of DC generator you are going to study, expression for induced EMF, types of DC generator, relation between induced EMF and terminal voltage you are going to study. In second part of fourth module, that is DC motors, it consists of sub bits. Those are principle of operation, back EMF, torque equation, types of DC motors, characteristics of DC motors. So both that is shunt as well as series motors, and finally applications of DC motors you are going to study. This is about fourth module. And fifth module, again it consists of two parts. First part, three phase synchronous generators, second part, three phase induction motors. Three phase synchronous generator, it consists of principle of operation, constructional features, synchronous speed, frequency of generated voltage, EMF equation, concept of winding factor. Here that is excluding the derivation and calculation of distribution and pitch factor. So that these derivations are not there for your syllabus. So only the winding factor. What do you mean by the winding factor? So that thing you are going to study. So this is about first part of fifth module. And second part of fifth module, that is three phase induction motors. It consists of principle of operation, generation of rotating magnetic field, construction and working of three phase induction motor, slip and its significance, necessity of starter, star delta starters you are going to study. So this is what the syllabus it consists of, that is basic electrical engineering. And what all are the textbooks for this particular subject, and which textbook is good to prefer, so that we'll discuss now. So as per university prescribed syllabus, So there are two textbooks, that is Basic Electrical Engineering, DC Kulshestra, and one more textbook is there, Principles of Electrical Engineering and Electronics, VK Mehta, Rohit Mehta, S. Chand Publications. So this textbook is good, so you can refer that Principles of Electrical Engineering and Electronics, that is by VK Mehta. And there is one more textbook you can refer, so that is the reference book, that is Fundamentals of Electrical Engineering and Electronics by B.L. Thereja. And even this Basic Electrical Engineering by D.P. Kothari and I.J. Nagrath is also good. So whichever you feel comfort, so that you can refer. And what is the question paper pattern? So this is what semester end examination question paper pattern. So the question paper will have 10 questions. Each question is set for 20 marks. So there are total 10 questions. Each question is set for what? 20 marks. So there will be 2 questions from each module. So that means obviously there are 5 modules, means what? So if you consider 2 questions from each module, then you will get what? Total there are 10 questions. So that means 2 questions from each module. Each of the 2 questions under a module with a maximum of 3 sub questions. Sub questions in the sense that question number 1, A, B and C, like that. Should have a mix of topics under that module. The students have to answer 5 full questions, selecting 1 full questions from each module. See, there are 10 questions. Each question carries 20 marks and 2 questions from each module, and students should answer 5 full questions, selecting 1 full question from each module. So this is the question paper pattern. Now, before going to the syllabus, let me discuss some fundamental electrical concepts. So those are charge, current, EMF, potential and potential difference. So this is nothing but voltage, resistance, energy sources. So these are the prerequisites for the first module, that is DC circuits. For that, so first we should have to study these fundamental electrical concepts. Now let us study these fundamental electrical concepts one by one. Let us consider, as you know that I think you might have studied the atomic structure in previous studies, that is what exactly the atom means, what exactly the atom consists of. So you know, whatever the matter on the earth, so which occupies in the space by what? In 3 mode. So what are those mode? One is the solid, liquid and gaseous mode. So according to modern electron theory, atom is a smallest particle of an element, is composed of 3 fundamental particles. So what are those 3 fundamental particles? So those are neutron, proton and electrons. So these are the fundamental particles the atom consists of. So this is an atom, this is a carbon atom. So carbon atom, it consists of these 3 particles, so that is electron, proton and neutron. So centrally it consists of a nucleus, electrons which are revolving around the nucleus. So this nucleus, it consists of the protons and neutrons. Now let me discuss what is the charge of each particles. The proton is positively charged particle, while the electron is negatively charged particle, and the neutron is electrically neutral. Electrically neutral means what? There is no charge. If atom as a whole electrically neutral, as the number of proton is always equal to number of electron. That means if you consider the atom is whole neutral, that means that the number of protons and number of that neutrons are what, sorry, number of electrons are what, equal. If by some means electron is removed from an atom, it will lose negative charge and will become positively charged, that is called as what, cations. That means, so by some means if you remove the negative charges, that means negative charge means what, if you remove the electrons from the atom, so then atom, it becomes positively charged in that case, and it is called as what, the cation. If excess electron is added to an atom, that means electrons are going to add, you are going to add the electrons to an atom, it will become negatively charged, that is called as what, the anion. The total deficiency or addition of excess electron in an atom is called its charge. Charge, it is nothing but what, so either it may be what, deficiency or addition of excess electron. It is nothing but what, charge. So usually charge can be classified into what, two categories. So one is positive charge, one more is what, negative charge. So so that only that here if it consists of the positively charged, then it is called as what, cation. If it consists of what, negatively charged particle, then it is called as what, anion. You know, the unit of charge is coulomb. So I hope the concept is clear, that the definition of a charge, it is nothing but either there may be what, deficiency or addition of an what, the electrons to an what, atom. So that is called as what, the charge. If the here, if the charges are, if the electrons are removed out from the atom, so then it becomes what, positively charged, so that is called as what, cation. If the electrons are added, additional electrons are added to the atom, so then it is called as what, the anion. So that means entirely we can define the charge as a what, so there may be what, the deficiency or the addition of an electron to an atom. So this is called as what, the charge. The unit of charge is what, the coulomb. The charge on one electron and one proton is equal to what, 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. If you consider one electron, if you consider one proton, each electron, each proton composed of a charge of what, 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. 1 coulomb means that charge possessed by 1 by 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 electron. That means 6.24 into 10 raised to 18 electrons. 1 coulomb means what? It consists of what? 6.24 into 10 raised to 18 electrons. Then we'll go for the definition of the current. What do you mean by the current? Current means what? The rate of flow of a charged particle is called as current. Or you can also define the flow of electron in a particular direction is called current. Then current can be identified by symbol capital I, and it is measured in amperes. Ampere is the scientist name who invented this. So since it is measured in terms of what? Ampere. So current means what here? Number of electrons that pass in 1 second into charge per electron. So this two product, it gives what? The current. It means 1 ampere. 1 ampere means what? How much? 1 ampere means what? 6.24 into 10 raised to 18 electrons per second into minus 1.602 into 10 raised to minus coulomb, 19 coulomb per electron. So ampere, it is measured in terms of what? Even you can also measure in terms of what? Coulombs per second. Or even you can define current as a what? The derivative or slope of the charge when plotted against time in second also. So charge again, you know, current and charge both are what? Proportional to each other. If there is a charge, there will be a current. So like that. So here I just define current in terms of charge, the rate of change of what? Charge, that is dq by dt. So if you define charge in terms of current, then it is the integral of what? The current, the integral or area under the current when plotted against time in second. Now this is the conductor is to be considered here. Then the movement of electron in this way, and the flow of current in this direction. That means the direction of the electrons and direction of the current has been shown here. Now let us discuss electromotive force. So as we know that there is a movement of electrons which constitute what? The current. So obviously for the movement of electrons, so there we need some additional force in order to what? Move the electrons. So that force which tends to move the electrons, so that itself is called as what? The electromotive force. So that means electromotive force, it is nothing but it is a force which tends to move the electrons. It is nothing but electromotive force. So see here there is a conductor. So there is a conductor. So actually electromotive force, it is nothing but it is a battery. Either it may be what? Battery, or it may be what? Some electric cell. So here this is an conductor. It consists of what? Number of electrons. So there is an electric cell is connected with the what? Conductor. So once you switch on this electric cell, so obviously, so there will be a force which acting on the conductor, so which tends to move these electrons. So see what is the direction of the electron? So the direction of the electron in this direction, so right to left direction. So here it is given. So that is the flow of electron. So flow of electron direction is what? Here in this direction. So this direction, this is flow of electron direction. And the conventional current direction is what? So this is the direction of conventional current direction. That means electron and current direction will be what? It is opposite to each other. And this is what the electromotive force. It is denoted by the symbol what? Small e or capital E, and it is measured in terms of what? Volts. Electromotive force can also called as a what? EMF. So here it is given, that is, so there is a flow of electrons from negative to positive of the cell externally through the conductor across which the cell is connected is called an electric current. The movement of electrons is always from negative to positive, while movement of current is always assumed as from positive to negative is called as what? Direction of conventional current. See, this is the direction of conventional current. It is from what? Positive to negative. So this is the direction of what? Flow of electrons. So this is from what? Negative to positive. See, this is what? Electric cell. Now relation between charge and current. The current can be defined as rate of flow of charge in an electric circuit or any medium in which charges are subjected to an external electric field. So obviously you know that the current can be defined in terms of what? The charges. So here the unit for the current is what? It is amperes, or it is also called as what? Coulombs per second. Mathematically we can write, we can relate the relation between charge and electric current. How we can relate charge and electric current relation? This is I is equals to Q divided by T. Or you can also define electric current is what? It is what? The rate at which the what? The moment of what? The charge. Where I be the what? Average current flowing, Q be the total charge transferred, and T be the time required for transfer of charge. 1 ampere of current can be defined as when a charge of 1 coulomb is passing any given point on it in 1 second. That means 1 ampere of current, it means what? 1 coulomb of charge can be passed in 1 second. So that is nothing but 1 ampere. Just you substitute here. Q means what? It is a charge. T means what? It is a time. So 1 coulomb of charge is transferred in 1 second. 1 get cancelled. Then finally what we will get? 1 ampere of what? Current. So this is the what? 1 ampere of current. Then types of electric current. As you know that there are two types of electric current. So what are those two types of electric current? So that is direct current and alternating current. Now what do you mean by the direct current? So these two currents we are going to study in this first module. So first module, it consists of two parts. First part is what? The DC circuits. So this is for what? DC current. Second part is what? That alternating current. So that is nothing but what? AC, or that is the AC fundamentals. Direct current is the unidirectional flow of electric charge. Direct current is produced by sources such as batteries, thermocouples, solar cells, and commutator type electric machines of the dynamo type. Alternating current is a flow of electric charge that regularly reverses its direction. Electric current in your home and school is mostly alternating current. Basically there are two types of electric current. One is the direct current, another one is the alternating current. So direct current is an unidirectional flow of electric charge. That means electric charge will be flow in a particular direction, only a single direction. So this is nothing but what? Direct current. As the name itself indicates, direct current. Direct means what? It is only unidirectional current flow, unidirectional flow of charge. So which is produced by the sources such as batteries, thermocouples, solar cells, and commutator type electric machines of the dynamo type. Alternating current, it is nothing but flow of electric charge at regular interval of time, which changes regular interval of time or regularly reverses its direction. So as you are getting that electric current in your home and school is mostly alternating current. Electric potential and potential difference. Two charged particles are brought near. They try to either repel each other or attract each other. That means every charged particle has tendency to do the work. If you consider two charged particles, one is positive charged particle, another one is what? Negative charged particles. So these two charged particles, what? You bring each other, near to each other. What happens if two charged particles are what? Having the same charge? Then what happens? They will repel each other. If two charged particles having the what? Different charges, so then they both will attract each other. So that means what? There will be a tendency to do the work. So that ability of a charged particle to do the work, that itself is called as what? Electric potential. The electric potential at a point due to a charge is 1 volt. If 1 joule of work is done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to that point, If electric potential at a point due to a charge, if it is said to be 1 volt, it is nothing but 1 joule of work is to be done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to that point. If you consider a circuit, electrical circuit, in that electrical circuit, if you suppose to say that electrical potential is 1 volt, that means that 1 joule of work is done by bringing a unit positive charge from some point to some point. So that is called as what? The electric potential at a point which is said to be what? 1 volt. Here also the unit of electric potential is volt. Mathematically we can represent electric potential as what? Work done by charge, that is W divided by Q. The difference, then what do you mean by the potential difference? Potential difference, it is nothing but electric potential at any two given points in a circuit is known as a potential difference. See here, 2 point is considered here. This is a conductor. If you consider, so this is a point A and a point B. So both the point has the what? Some potential. So point A, it is positive charge Q is initially at A in uniform electric field. Then point B, moving the charge a distance delta R from A to B requires some work. Now here, so it has some potential and it also has some potential. So this charge can be moved from point A. So at a distance of what? That is delta R. Delta R be the what? The change in the distance in which the point B can be moved from the what? Point A. So the difference in these two potential itself is called as what? Potential difference. If you suppose to say that the potential of what? A is minus 10 volt. The potential of what? B is what? Again minus 10 volt. Then what might be the potential difference between these two? Minus 10 minus of minus 10. Then the potential difference between these two, what? It is 0, like that. Again the potential difference symbol, it is nothing but it is what? V. We can represent potential difference as a what? Capital V. The difference between electromotive force and potential difference. So this is electromotive force and this is a potential difference. EMF is defined as the work done on a unit charge. EMF, how you can define? It is a work done by bringing a unit positive charge from some point to the what? Another point. Then potential difference, it is nothing but difference in the potential between 2 points. Or you can say that potential difference is defined as the energy which is dissipated as the unit charge pass through the water component. So here EMF remains constant, potential difference may vary, it will not constant. EMF is independent of circuit resistance. The potential difference depends on the what? Resistance between the 2 points during the measurement. Due to EMF, electric, magnetic and the gravitational field is caused. Due to potential difference, the only electric field is induced. Here what happens? Due to EMF, electric, magnetic and gravitational field is caused. So due to potential difference, the only electric field is induced. So there is no chance to what? Magnetic field. There is no chance of what? The EMF here. So only the electric field is what? Induced due to what? Potential difference. It is represented by capital E. Electromotive force is represented by capital E. Potential difference, it is represented by what? Capital P. These are the difference between electromotive force and potential difference. Now let me discuss the point, that is resistance. What do you mean by the resistance? Also it is called as ohmic resistance. Resistance, it is nothing but a property of a conductor by virtue of which it opposes the flow of current through the conductor, which causing energy dissipation transferred into what? The heat. So that is nothing but the resistance. That is a property of a conductor by virtue of which the passage of current is opposed, causing electric energy to be transferred into heat. So resistance equals to the voltage across the conductor divided by the current flowing in the conductor. So that we'll discuss later by Ohm's law. So Ohm's law, it states that it gives the relation between voltage, current and also resistance. So just to remember that the resistance, which is equals to voltage across the conductor, which is divided by the current flowing through the water conductor. Usually resistance, it is measured in ohm. So this is the ohm symbol, and the abbreviation for the resistance is capital R. If a resistance is said to be 1 ohm, that means 1 ampere of current can generate heat at the rate of 1 joules per second. So that is called as what? 1 ohm. That is the resistance of a circuit in which a current of 1 ampere generates the heat at the rate of 1 joules per second. Then what are the factors affecting the resistance? That means resistance, it depends on what factors. So these are the factors which affects the resistance of a conductor. So first factor is length of the material. The resistance of the material is directly proportional to the length of the material. It is denoted by symbol capital L. If length of the material it changes, the resistance of the that particular material is changes. That means if the length of the material is increases, the resistance of the material is what? Increases. Length of the material is decreases, if the resistance is what? Decreases. Because resistance, it is directly proportional to what? The length of the material. And it is also, it is inversely proportional to the cross sectional area. The resistance of a material is inversely proportional to the what? Cross sectional area. So which is denoted by symbol capital A. So there is one more factor which affect what? The resistance. And there is one more factor, temperature. As temperature changes, the value of resistance of the material also changes. And there is one more factor, type and nature of the material. If the material is what? It is a conductor, its resistance is what? It is lesser. If the material is what? It is an insulator, its resistance is what? Very high. So for a certain material, constant temperature. For constant temperature, the resistance which is defined as the resistance R is proportional to L divided by A, where L be the what? The length of the material, A be the area of cross section of the material. So you just remove the proportionality. If you remove the proportionality, you can write R is equals to rho L divided by A, where rho is the constant of proportionality, which is known as what? The specific resistance. Now what do you mean by the specific resistance? So specific, each and every material, it has the what? Some specific resistance. Specific resistance, it is nothing but the resistance of 1 meter cube of a substance is equals to its specific resistance. If you consider a substance or a material, so there is a 1 cubic meter a distance, so that itself is called as what? The specific resistance. The unit for the specific resistance is what? It is rho. So it is measured in terms of what? Ohm meter. So specific resistance can be measured, or unit for the specific resistance is what? Ohm meter. So there are some materials are given. So what are the specific resistance for those materials is given. Silver, it consists of specific resistance of 1.7. Copper, it consists of specific resistance of 1.69. Aluminium, it consists of specific resistance of 2.75. Tungsten, it consists of specific resistance of 5.25. Platinum, iron, nickel, chrome, graphite. So those are having the specific resistance of 10.6, 9.8, 100, 3500 respectively. So this specific resistance of any material, it is what? The constant value. Now let me discuss the energy sources. What do you mean by the energy sources? Because these energy sources are very much essential for the electrical circuit. Either it may be out DC electrical circuit, or it may be out AC electrical circuit. There are two types of energy sources we can find here. That is, one is voltage source, one more is a current source. It can be further classified into ideal source and practical source. So we can classify further voltage source and current source into ideal source and practical source. That means ideal voltage source, ideal current source, practical voltage source, practical current source, like that. So let us discuss ideal and practical voltage source first. Energy source which gives constant voltage across its terminals irrespective of the current drawn through its terminals is called as ideal voltage source. If any energy source, it gives a constant voltage. For example, if the energy source, it has a voltage range of 50 volt, it's supposed to give 50 volt constant itself voltage. So irrespective the variation of the water, the current which can be drawn, it's a terminal. So but it should give water constant voltage. So that is called as what? The ideal voltage source. The symbol for ideal voltage source and is connected with the load and its characteristics is shown below. So this is a symbolical representation of what? The ideal voltage source. We can represent ideal voltage source like this. So this is a what circuit? Here ideal voltage source, it is connected with the what? The load. The load having the drop, that is voltage drop of what? V suffix L. So due to this load, so there will be a IL current is flowing. If you draw the characteristics between the load current and load voltage, then you will get such type of characteristic. So constant characteristic you can observe. That means by varying the line current with respect to what? Line voltage, so you can get what? Constant what voltage. That means here it gives the what? Constant voltage. So in the definition itself we define that. So this gives the what? Constant voltage. See, observe here. It is giving what? Constant voltage of some magnitude. Either it may be what? The supply voltage also. Constant voltage means what? It is a supply voltage. Since VL is equals to what? Vs you can represent. But practically every voltage source has a small internal resistance shown in series with voltage source and is represented by RSC. So practically you cannot say that the ideal voltage source, because practically so there may be what? Some internal resistance shown in the series voltage source and it is represented by what? RSC. Because of the RSC, so there will be what? The voltage drop you can find with increase in the what? The load current. For ideal voltage source, RSC is equals to 0, and practical voltage source, it is a small value. So just you can differentiate here ideal voltage source and practical voltage source. Ideal voltage source, it is nothing but a water, it gives a constant voltage. There is no internal resistance in case of ideal voltage source. Practical voltage source, there will be some internal, small internal resistance. So due to that internal resistance, so there may be what, the voltage, small voltage drop you can find. So see, observe the voltage drop here. So see, this is a voltage drop you can get here, that is VL, drop in the voltage due to the what, practical voltage source. Then ideal and practical current source. Ideal current source is the source which gives a constant current at its terminal irrespective of the voltage appearing across its terminal. So ideal current source means what? It gives the constant current throughout the what? Its performance. So it is nothing but ideal current source. The symbol and the characteristics of the ideal current source which is given here. So this is symbolically we can represent ideal current source like this, and which is connected with the load. So if you draw the relation between that load current and load voltage, then you will get the ideal current. So constant current you can observe irrespective variation in the what, the load voltage. So in this case the load current, it may is equals to what, the supply current or source current. But practically it will not happen. Practically, so there may be what, high internal resistance which is in parallel with the current source, and it is represented by what, RSH. So that is called as what, the practical current source. So which is represented by some so in practical current source, so it consists of it consists of what, the high internal resistance. So that internal resistance can be represented as what, RSH. So here it is shown in the circuit. So this is what, the current source. Which type of current source is? It is the practical current source. It consists of what, a parallelly connected what, the high internal resistance. So due to this resistance, so there may be what, the ISH current, internal resistance current you can say. So if you observe the characteristic, so obviously, so there may be a drop in the water, the source current. So this is called as what, the practical current source. Now this is about some brief introduction regarding the water, some electrical aspects, basic electrical aspects. So before going to the syllabus, you must know these electrical aspects. So then only you can understand the things. So what is going to what taken place in the what first module. So for that I just explained so these basic electrical concepts. Just go through with these basic electrical concepts, study these electrical concepts. So in next video we'll come up with the first module of your basic electrical engineering subject. Till then, thank you.